Hello and welcome back everybody. It's Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. This is the story about my wife of 14 years with 2 kids who have been cheating on me with one of her ex-co-workers. I still remember being a little suspicious before the day, but thought I was just being jealous, and now I'm lost. Now let's listen to the story. Also, if you like my stories, please give a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
We met in our early 20s. We dated off and on and were friends and lovers. Eventually, we married. We have a teenage girl, 14, and a young boy, 8. The thing is, she's always had my heart. I think I knew early on that I loved her and wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. We shared everything. We talked about the silliest things until we laughed to tears. We've always had the same sense of music together, and we simply enjoyed each other's company. When our kids came into our lives, I had never been happier. We truly created some remarkable little beings. If I am most proud of anything as a couple, it's that we raised 2 selfless children who deeply care for one another and the world around them. Our marriage has had its ups and downs. Obviously, things can't always be amazing. That's just marriage. We owned life. When we were down, we always managed to talk, to find common grounds, to bounce back and cruise again. We fought for each other. I suppose this is why this hurts so much. Instead of fighting for each other, she chose him. There is this guy she met. His name is Chris. They were once co-workers. She left that job and went to another, but for some reason maintained contact with him over the last year. She has mentioned this co-worker in passing. I remember feeling something wasn't quite right, or maybe I was just being jealous. I couldn't put my finger on it, but looking back, it was a sign if there ever was one. Over the last few months, the pandemic has really messed things up. During the time, I definitely battled a huge mountain of depression. I withdrew. I absolutely did. I get up every morning, work from home all day. Afterward, I would get into Discord, speak with some friends and family I hardly ever see, then spend the night chatting and socializing. I put much more effort into socializing than into her. That's factual. Around this time, she had a surgery on her leg that made her unable to walk for a considerable period of time. During this time, she and I didn't speak as much. I helped her with her care, made her food, and helped her with what she needed. But I certainly left her on her own for many days without any social interactions. I think on a subconscious level, I had rejected her because, at this point, she had already rejected me for him.
Now, here are the timelines of the main events which took place.
January, she left her job where she worked for a new one, but they maintained contact. February, things felt normal, had good intimacy as always, our relationship felt great. March, COVID hit. We leaned heavy into each other, bracing for what might come with the pandemic. April, May, things felt normal. If we had to quarantine and distance, we were seemingly doing it well. We made great food, had cocktails, and just did things together. Sometime around this time, he would start asking personal questions about her relationship with me. Things like, how does he treat you? And this was all she has given me in regards to that. I suspect the conversations went deeper than this one question, but she has been giving me little bits of truth here and there, and a whole ton of I don't know or I don't remember. So, who knows? June, July. She started meeting him on her lunch breaks. It's around this time they had their first kiss. According to her, she told him this would ruin our families, to which he responded, I think I'm okay with that. I think, of everything I learned, this exchange of words hit me the hardest. July, August. They met more frequently. They would meet in parking lots, her work, and his house, etc. According to her, they tried to have relations one time, but he failed. This detail is something that, according to her, was a regular occurrence. During this time, I was deep into depression. I would often vent to her about how off I felt. I remember sitting in the shower just staring at the walls, wondering if life would be easier for her and the kids if I was just gone. Her leg surgery occurs early September. She's at home for 2 weeks and not going anywhere. They exchanged a lot of texts during this time.
In late September, she is back to work, albeit with a cast and scooter or crutch to move around. She met him at his house again.
October to mid-October, they meet in parking lots more frequently and book a hotel room together. They spend an entire day together after pretending to get ready for work that day. After she leaves the room to head home, she texts me, "Phew, what a rough day. This day hurts." At the time, I responded the way a husband would, supporting his wife after a tough day at work. Reading back on that day now is just so bad. I was home with our kids, working, while helping them do distance learning.
Late October was D-Day.
I had suspected something was up. So, early morning before my workout, I snooped. I felt guilty at first, and I wish I could go back before that morning to remain oblivious. I found a long text history with huge gaps in discussions. Here's where I found saved pics of him, telling her he missed her telling him I can't wait to kiss that face, etc. The kind of stuff that makes your heart pass 1,000 times in a second. I gasped for breath, and I saw red. I woke her up, gave her the phone, and asked her to explain. Her first words were that she was upset that I looked through her phone. She tells me they kissed once. That was it. It's never just one kiss, is it? I can't remember how I got her to tell me they had relations, but when I finally did, she said they did it once, in the car. And they only met up a few times. I think when I showed her Google Map history, she realized I knew more than she was letting on. She started filling me in on more details. How many times they did it, that he couldn't always perform, that he wasn't good, just different, whatever that means. When I look through our phone data, I find that her average texts per month went from 500 to 4,500. On the worst day, they had texted each other once every 3 minutes over 16 hours. She says most of their conversations was just random, "How are you? How's your day? Hey, here's a song for you to listen to." I have a hard time believing anything she says. When asked why she did it, at first she tells me that she was lonely and that she felt like I didn't value her. Now that reasoning has shifted to, I don't know, I was stupid, I couldn't stop. To be clear, I am fine admitting that I was distant, but I have a very hard time taking blame for this. She could have talked to me at any point, raised her flag and told me we were slipping, and I would have fought with my last breath to make things right. She didn't do that, though. She chose him. She fell into him. She dated him. They told each other they loved one another.
Now, here is the update.
I sent everything to his wife and then confronted him. He lied about everything. He said my wife was making it all up because she was obsessed with him and wanted to break them up to be with him. This infuriated me. I wanted him to own his actions. I had been wanting to approach him, to scare him. I found him at his work, stocking shelves. He's a small little man. "Hey, Chris!" OMG, the look on his face. The absolute fear in him felt so empowering. I mean, I don't think I needed to do this looking back, but I'd be lying if it didn't feel great to take back something that he helped steal from me. I asked, "Why didn't you accept my Snapchat? I thought we shared everything." I watched him cower and stumble backwards. I told him how much damage he caused and that I had evidence proving they cheated. But what he said back to me almost shocked me. "You're right, I am a coward." How could I feel sorry for this miserable, tiny person in that moment? I actually felt sorry for him. If he hadn't said that, I would have done much more than just throw words at him. In my frustration, I grabbed some of the peanut butter off of the shelf he had been stocking and threw it at his feet. Then I walked away. Later, I found out that just before I went in there, his wife showed up at his work. She pulled him outside, made him admit to it all, and she slapped him. She told me he finally admitted it, and some of the stuff my wife told me was confirmed through him. I learned in that moment that this man doesn't offer anything more than I do. In fact, he offers much less. I could go into all the ways I know I am better than this guy, but in the end, that would just be petty and sad. I actually feel sorry for this guy. In all my frustration and hatred, I feel bad for him.
So the question is, where does that leave her?
I don't know. She has made a lot of changes to start out. She removed social media, deactivated and deleted accounts. She blocked his number. She's okay with me checking up on her, checking her phone and messages. For now, I think it's justified. However, I hate that this is where I am now. The adult checking up on the child to make sure she isn't breaking the rules. She turned me into something I'm not. She took my wedding ring and put it on a necklace that she won't take off. I took the ring off on D-Day fight and told her I no longer wanted it. This is the one thing that I was happy to see her do. She kept it under her shirt for a while, and when I noticed it, I wanted to cry. Last weekend, we took a trip and tried to be together. I'll admit there was one day that weekend where everything melted away and I felt like I had my best friend again. When we left and came back into town, it was like a black cloud instantly came back over me. All the doubts and thoughts never really left. The weekend away just hid them for a bit. I am starting to feel like she is remorseful, but I think all of the trickle truths have pushed back on me accepting any of that remorse. I have to wonder if she was truly remorseful, why she would continue to hide even the littlest things. I want to see her fight for me. Up to this point, I wonder if I'm letting her off easy, if I am compromising too much, and if giving her cop-outs from owning what she did. Even if I was distant as a husband, even if she did feel lonely, she started this journey.
End of the story. Well, OP, cheating damages relationship to a level that is very hard for both partners to create a healthy environment to make a relationship better. The fact that she cheated will always remain the same. What she did will always be a fact that cannot be changed. You will have to live with that, and if you really want to keep the relationship, you'll have to learn how to cope with this. The dynamic has changed. Now she wants to do anything to please you. But is this sustainable in the long term? How about going out with other male friends? Will that cause triggers? The goal would be to reach a point that when you think about the affair, it becomes an old event that doesn't affect you anymore. Only time can tell. Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment and share the story if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video tomorrow. Take care.